Welcome to Today at the Guild, podcasting results, news and winning performances from the 2025 Manx Music, Speech and Dance Festival.
Manx radio coverage of the Manx Music Festival is brought to you with Spectrum Windows. Find them on Facebook or spectrumwindows.im.
Well, Fastamai, good evening and welcome to Sundown Goes to the Guild, or The Lounge brings you the latest news from the Manx Music Festival. Whichever way you look at it, you are very welcome. I'm Judith and we will be looking over the first 2 days of the 133rd Manx Music Festival. Isn't that an incredible achievement? Still going strong and just lovely this weekend to see for the first 2 days of competition, the Royal Hall and the Promenade Suite absolutely packed with people, packed with a mixture of performers and audience members enjoying some fantastic entertainment. And add to the mix today in the beautiful setting of St Thomas's Church, where they had the most amazing cakes when we had a tea break partway through the competitions today. St Thomas's came in as a venue today, and there were a day and an evening's competitions in St Thomas's, and we'll be returning there later in the week for some more competition. So what have I got for you tonight? Well, we still haven't found a good way to bring you Manx folk and country dancing on the radio. I dare say that in the years to come we will be able to do that. But what I can bring you are all the results of the classes, and my goodness me, there's some beautiful dancing and some very high marks. We've also traditionally, the first 2 days of the Guild traditionally are for brass instrumentalists and ensembles, and this is where we get to listen to some very promising youngsters taking their first steps, the solo classes for the younger players, and such a lot of confidence there. And for a number of them, it's their first opportunity to play. They're perhaps regular members of a band, but it's the first opportunity to get a little taste of competition as solo players, and they get lots of encouragement from their accompanists and from the adjudicator. Great adjudication this weekend. Lots of very helpful advice being given. And of course, that's what adjudication is all about. It's not about who's got the most marks. And of course, it's great. And there are winners and second places in all the classes. But it's about getting that extra little bit of help and encouragement and advice so that you can go away and work on that and improve performance. So we'll be listening to some very established and very, very skilled players alongside some youngsters taking their first steps on the stage. Then we will be going to the musicals, young singers and their songs from a very, very entertaining class. And again, another class bursting with talent, young singers and their own choice of songs from the musicals. And then Anything Goes. Now, that's not me being just offhand. It's actually the title of a fabulously entertaining class that was in the Royal Hall last night. In fact, it was the way we ended the evening in the Royal Hall last night. And the class is called Anything Goes because you just have a time limit, and I think it's about 6 minutes. But within that 6 minutes, you can do anything you wish. And so we ranged in from a solo performer, a young lady who sang absolutely great, through to a wonderful troupe of dancers and to another group, very, very interesting performance that you'll be listening to a little bit later. Wonderful dancers. Again, sadly, something that I can't do justice to on the radio, but I can tell you all about them and what was special about them. So lots for us to talk about, lots to listen to. Let's get started. Right, let's just quite simply say Manx Concert Brass, and this was a winning ensemble performance. Enjoy. Well-deserved applause there for Manx Youth Band. And that was the brass ensemble class, of which Manx Concert Brass were the winners. And it's an own choice class. You can pick any piece that you wish. And I'm sure you recognised the Manx Concert Brass choice there being George Gershwin's Summertime. Their musical director is, as always, Ian Clegg. And the only rule set apart from the time limit of 8 minutes is that it must be a minimum of 5 players and a maximum of 15. Now, just a little reminder that in line with all other music festivals now, no marks are given out. Marks are given, but they're just put on the adjudication sheet and given to the individual competitors. And it's up to them. It's really, as I was saying, it's more about the adjudication, the comments, the helpful suggestions and observations that the adjudicator makes that is entirely between the performers and their teacher if they wish, or just for the performer's own use. But no marks are given out. However, where I have discovered that somebody has got 90 marks or more, I will make reference to that because, of course, 90 marks are very, very rarely given in the Guild and are really a special sign of particular excellence, and I think are well worth a little mention. So there we have a class win for Manx Concert Brass in the ensemble. Joint seconds in that class went to Manx Youth Band, who we'll hear a little bit later in the programme, and a group, and I don't know which band this ensemble is drawn from. If you can help me, drop me a text 166 177 or email me studio@manxradio.com, because as you will understand, I can't be in the hall all the time for all the performances. I wish I could, but unfortunately I can't. I have to be darting around and spending some time in our little nest up in the eaves of the Villa Marina preparing the audio for these programmes, and which of course is my great pleasure to do. But it means that I don't actually see some of the people. Now, I think this ensemble have got a fantastic name, but I don't know which band they are drawn from, so help me if you can. But they did share a joint second place in the brass ensemble class with Manx Youth Band, and you're going to listen now to the Sorcerer's Apprentices with a little Disney arranged by Alan Fernie. Wasn't that great? Name that Disney tune. And there was a great medley there, wasn't there? The Sorcerer's Apprentices. If you can help me out with any names or tell me the band that was drawn from, I would be very grateful. And just a little reminder, should you need it or should it be useful to you, that all our programmes, all our Today at the Guild programmes, this is the programme that you're listening to now, and the programmes that I'll be doing, I hope, all being well, Monday to Friday and then right through next Sunday too, they will all be available as podcasts. So if you hear something and you know somebody who's perhaps it's their child or their partner, whoever that you hear, and you think, oh, I wonder if they've missed this, I wonder if I heard it, then do please recommend them to go and look for the podcast at manxradio.com, because all our coverage is there as podcasts, and I'll put as much detail as I can. So if you're looking for a particular performance, you should be able to find it quite easily. And the other thing that we're doing is the wonderful Chris Quirk, who I know you will hear on Manx Radio if you listen, as I'm sure you do. Chris pops up early in the morning, getting our day off to a good start, and at other times too. And Chris is down, but most of the time, down at the villa with us, and us being myself and the wonderful Tim Price, who does all the recording. And Chris will be there with his trusty camera, and we'll be making little videos. Not of the performances. We never film the performances. That is against the child protection policy, which we observe very, very strictly. And the child protection policy for the Guild, there is also one for the Villa Marina, as you would imagine. We do not film any performances, but when the performances are over and the winners are known, we will often spirit the winners off into a quiet corner and have a little chat and talk about their performance. Sometimes, if it's a spoken word or a bit of a song, we'll perhaps get them to give a little reprise of their performance. And then Chris puts those videos up again on Manx Radio's website, manxradio.com. So well worth keeping an eye out for those videos. He's already made several last night, and he'll be putting those up on the website tomorrow. So keep a lookout for those, because that's a great way to put some faces to the performances if they're not people that you know. Right, 3 young people, solo brass performances, and special congratulations to these players, because they're young players and they started off the very first class in the Promenade Suite yesterday morning. And I think that's first class of the Guild. Takes special bit of courage, doesn't it? Well, we're going to hear from Alice Daykin, Addien Morgans and Rishawn Vivian, solo brass playing for some very promising youngsters. Now, this instrumental solo class for any brass instrument up to the age of 11, and many of the young people who were playing yesterday morning in the Promenade Suite were well below that age limit, and we had lots of instruments, a nice variety of instruments being played. The class was won by Alice Daykin. Alice played her trumpet. She chose a piece by David Stowell called Strollin, and Alice was accompanied by her mum. And I'm sorry, Mum, I don't know your first name, so we'll say here's Alice Daykin accompanied by Mrs. Daykin. It was a class-winning performance. Congratulations, Alice Daykin. Well done, Alice Daykin, accompanied by Mrs. Daykin. Now, there was a joint second place for this class, and we're going to hear from both of the winners of second place, and that's Addien Morgans playing the tenor horn and Rishawn Vivian playing trombone. Addien comes from a very musical family, accompanied by mum Anya Morgans. Let's listen now to Easy Winners. It's a piece by Scott Joplin, and here's Addien Morgans to play for you. Oh, it's a great piece, that, isn't it? Well done. That was Addien Morgans playing for you there, playing tenor horn. Easy Winners by Scott Joplin. There's no such thing as an easy winner in the Guild, is there? Everybody has to bring out their very best performance, and they do. Now, I said there was a joint second place in this instrumental solo class for players up to the age of 11, and Addien Morgans shared second place with Rishawn Vivian playing trombone, and the choice there is Aria by Mozart, and Rishawn is accompanied by that man with so much experience of playing with brass instrumentalists. It's Julian Power is Rishawn's accompanist. Well done, Rishawn Vivian, accompanied by Julian Power, and his choice, Aria by Mozart. Right, how about going to the musicals now? We'll come back. We've got lots more brass music for you to enjoy, but let's go to the shows now. Now, this one takes us to the Royal Hall last night. And songs from the musicals for any age up to, this is a very young class, and this is for 8 to 10-year-olds. And we had an official accompanist for the class of Madeleine Kelly. And lots of people taking part in this. In fact, I'm just looking, 29 singers took part in this class. And, you know, the thing that amazes me, for an own choice class, it's an age-appropriate song, not set for other classes, and it can include music featured in film and television. The only really strict rule is that it's a time limit of 3 minutes, whatever you choose. But the thing that amazes me is that I would think that there could be a lot of duplication in a class that attracts, what did we say, nearly almost 30 competitors. But there really wasn't. Not much duplication at all. And of course, that makes it a very, very entertaining class because you've got different voices singing all kinds of different music. Let's start off with the class winner, because here we had a winner and 2 second places. And I just had to double check on this because, you know me, I'm well known for misremembering. but I felt sure that Lyla King, who took a joint second place in this class, I felt sure that Lyla was a previous winner of the Sheffield Plate. The Sheffield Plate being the sort of Cleveland Medal for Young Voices. It's the highest honour for the most promising young voice in the festival. And Lyla King, who took a second place in this Songs from the Shows class, she in fact won the Sheffield Plate in 2022. So, you know, it's lovely, as we always say, to hear our young singers as they come back and they develop in style and repertoire and confidence over those years. But the class, the Songs from the Musicals class for years 8 to 10, for ages 8 to 10, school years 3 to 5, was won by Isla Thompson. And Isla's chosen God Help the Outcasts from The Hunchback of Notre Dame by Mencken and Schwartz. This is class winner Isla Thompson. Beautiful. Congratulations to class winner Isla Thompson, winner of the Songs from the Musicals for school years 3 to 5. That's 8 to 10-year-olds. The official accompanist for this class is Madeleine Kelly. Now, I said that we had a joint second place in this class, and so we are going to hear from Lyla King. We are also going to hear from Alex Jones. And Alex's choice was from The Little Mermaid, another Mencken musical, this time with Howard Ashman. And Alex's choice is from The Little Mermaid, Part of Your World. This is Alex Jones.
Wouldn't you think I'm the girl
Isn't that just beautiful? Well done to Alex Jones, part of your world. And it's worth bearing in mind when you listen to these young voices, this is on the big stage in the Royal Hall in the Villa Marina. It is a huge space to fill. And they do. And I was just listening to that, and Alex is singing, and the same also Isla, singing with such expression, because, you know, these songs from the shows, they're all a character song, aren't they? And they do require a certain amount of acting. And these youngsters really get it, don't they? And what a variety we had. It really was such an entertaining class, because we had, just to mention a few of the musicals, Cinderella, Matilda, Pinocchio, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Mary Poppins, Annie, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, and there's generally always a song from The Lion King, and there was in this class. However, Lyla King, who took a joint second place with Alex Jones, who we've just listened to, Lyla's choice was from Beauty and the Beast, and she's going to sing for us now, Home. This is Lyla King.
Yes, I made the choice. For Papa I will stay. But I don't deserve to lose my freedom in this way. You monster! If you think that what you've done is right, well then, you're a fool. Think again. Is this home? Is this where I should learn to be happy? Never dreamed that a home could be dark and cold. I was told every day in my childhood, even when we grow old, home should be where the heart is. Never were words so true. My heart's far, far away. Home is true. What I'd give to return to the life that I knew lately, and to think I complained of that dull provincial town. Is this home? Am I here for a day or forever? Shut away from the world until who knows when. Oh, but then, as my life has been altered once, it can change again. Build higher walls around me, change every lock and key. Nothing lasts, nothing holds all of me. My heart's far, far away, home and
Thank you to Lyla King, taking a joint second place in Songs from the Shows with Home from Beauty and the Beast. Right, now I'm going to do a bit of talking, because I want to give you some results from the classes that were going on in the Royal Hall as the brass instrumental classes yesterday were taking place down in the Promenade Suite. Now, as I said before, we haven't quite mastered the technology that would enable me to bring you dancing on the radio. But I dare say it will come one day. But what I can do is to give you the results. And my goodness, what a high standard there was for the Manx folk dancing and country dancing, national dancing. And this is one of the groups of classes for which we have a local adjudicator. And it's somebody who is very experienced, both in teaching, competing and adjudicating. And that's our own Rachel Clarkson. And thank you, Rachel, for a very hard day's work. When I say hard work, it was because the standards were so high and concentration had to be very high as well. So, Rachel, thank you for very wise adjudication and all the encouragement that you gave. So we started the day, and this looks beautiful with the lovely costumes on the big stage in the Royal Hall. So it's visually lovely classes as well as being very entertaining. And we began with Manx folk dancing for up to 11-year-olds. And we had a first place for Skedinjerg A and a second place for Arbory School Dancers 4. Now, this is important because Arbory School have put several, in fact had 4 separate groups of dancers in, and it was Dancers 4 who took a second place in this. So well done for Skedinjerg A, second place Arbory School Dancers 4. Then again, it's for up to 11-year-olds. The class was country or national dancing, again, own choice, for a minimum of 3 couples dancing with a time limit of 4 minutes. And here we had a second place for Skedinjerg A, and in first place, Peribane Beg, and their choice of national dance was from Wales. But again, very, very entertaining. Everybody looked beautiful. Great dancing. Generally very, very high standard. Then we went on to country and national dancing. Again, own choice class, minimum 3 couples. The next class, this is for slightly older dancers, and that was up to 18-year-olds, and that from 11 to 18-year-olds. And this, I did mention that when somebody hits 90 marks, I will actually mention that. And so I have to say congratulations to Skedinjerg, who won this class for the slightly older dance group, but still, just 11 to 18-year-olds. And they took a first place there with 90 marks, very high standard. And just close behind them with a dance from the United States. It was Peribane Egg, and they were in second place there. So lovely mix of dancing there. Manx dances for Skedinjerg with 90 marks, and a national dance from the United States for Peribane Egg. Then we moved on again for 11 to 18-year-olds, and this is a Manx folk dancing class, minimum 4 dancers, and it was Skedinjerg A who again took a first place, and Peribane Egg came close behind in second place. You can see that it's neck and neck throughout these competitions, but all very high standard and all very, very entertaining. In the Morris or sword dancing, we had a second place for another group from Arbory School, this time Arbory School Dancers 5, Group 5, and they took a second place in the Morris or sword dancing, and the first place here went to Peribane. Morris dance was their choice, Tideford. Arbory School Dancers 5 was a Manx traditional dance. Then we went on to the country and national dancing class. It's an adult class, own choice, minimum of 6 dancers. And the award for this one, I'm just making a particular mention for this one because it's given by a lady who we still miss, and that is the lovely Shirley Savage. The award for this country and national dancing class for adults is the Shirley Savage Salver, and Shirley gave this some years ago. She loved dance, she loved the Guild, and she loved the dance classes, and so she gave this, and it's a lovely reminder, as are so many of our awards and trophies, reminders of people who have given so much to the Guild over the years, and it's wonderful that the awards that they give will keep them as part of the Guild family in perpetuity. And we all say every year, when all the awards are back and on the big tables that are put out in front below the stage in the Royal Hall, they look absolutely amazing. They really, really do. And they tell such a story as you just browse along the whole row of trophies before the competition starts, before even a single one is missing. The story that they tell, some of them are go back many, many years, and it's just great to have that history told in that way. So, the competition for the Shirley Savage Salver, we had 3 groups taking part here. We had Peribane, we had Skedinjerg Adults, and we had the Rhythm of Bulgaria. And it was Rhythm of Bulgaria who took a second place, and the winners, my goodness, they were dancing their socks off yesterday. The winners of this class were Skedinjerg Adults, and they had 95 marks. So, some very high marks recorded there. As I say, everybody gets a mark, but they're not given out now. I just thought that as a mark in excess of 90 or upwards is a really special achievement, and I think is worthy of a little mention. So congratulations to Skedinjerg Adults for that. But once again, thank you to all the dancers yesterday in the country and folk dancing. Very, very entertaining morning in the Royal Hall. And then you've heard the results from the musicals class, which was what happened in the Royal Hall after lunch yesterday. Right, how about some more brass music? And this time we're going to a class winner for the adults to hear some very, very accomplished playing. But before we do this, can I thank Margaret being radiant in Rushton? And I said, does anybody know anything about the Sorcerer's Apprentices? And Margaret, quick as a flash, she says, I think they have a connection with Russian Silver Band. Margaret, thank you very much indeed for that. And Margaret, she might not live on the island, but she knows an awful lot about what is going on here. Born out of complete affection, because Margaret has a lifelong connection with the island. She had family who lived in the south of the island that she spent many, many happy holidays with as a youngster with her mum and her brother, and she has cherished those links ever since. So if Margaret says they've got a connection with Russian, I take your word for that, Margaret. In fact, Russian Silver Band not competing as they have done in the concert class. And I was talking to one of their members, or a couple of their members, and they said that we choose one big project and absolutely concentrate on that. And I have it on good authority that their big project for this year was recording a CD, which is to be released later in the year, probably early autumn time. And they concentrated on that. And hopefully we'll come back into the Guild in the band concert class next year. But we look forward to hearing the CD when it comes out later in the year. Right, so, and it's Juan Wright who's going to play for you now. This is the instrumental solo class for brass players, adults. Again, it's an own choice class, just with a time limit of 8 minutes. And we had some fine performances here, very varied, but very accomplished playing. Let's listen to the class winner, Juan Wright, playing trombone. He's accompanied by Naomi Cole. And his choice is by Gareth Churcher. Interesting Clavgy is the piece, and I'm told that it's brass band with a Baroque inspiration. But what I can tell you for sure is it's a class-winning performance from Juan Wright. A very, very difficult piece played with great skill by class winner Juan Wright, and that was Clavigy by Gareth Churcher, and accompanist Naomi Cole was congratulated on a very accomplished accompaniment to that, which everybody said was very tricky, but Naomi nailed it. So well done to Juan. Now, the second place with that was in fact Naomi's husband, Ashley Cole, and he chose the beautiful Rusalka's Song to the Moon by Dvorak, and accompanied as he was by Naomi. We'll be listening to that in the next hour of the programme. But how about a Calypso delivered to us by another brass ensemble for up to 15-year-olds? This is Manx Youth Band A. Their conductor is Ian Clegg, and it's Jamaican Calypso by Oliver Mann. It is another class-winning performance. Oh, that was lovely, wasn't it? You could just kind of feel the sun on across your shoulders, couldn't you, there, with a Jamaican Calypso from Manx Youth Band A. And they were winners of the brass ensemble class for up to aged 15. They were conducted by Ian Clegg. Second place went to Douglas Band Tutors C group, conducted by Ken Mitchell. And we will hear from them in the next hour of the programme.
Manx radio coverage of the Manx Music Festival is brought to you with Spectrum Windows. Find them on Facebook or spectrumwindows.im.
I'm Judith, and I have had a wonderful time this weekend down at the home of the Manx Music Festival, now in its 133rd year. Is that not amazing? I'm sure it's got to be a record for music festivals, but we never mind about that. We just love the festival. We love the family atmosphere. We love seeing friends that we haven't seen for pretty much all of the year and stopping and having a chat and renewing those acquaintances and also making lots of new friends. That is what the Guild is about. So, we have since 9 o'clock been looking at some of the winning performances over these opening days and talking about the results for the things that unfortunately don't work very well on the radio, like the dancing. And again, on stage in the Royal Hall today, there's been wonderful dance classes, ballet, tap, solo groups, really, really beautiful, very, very skilled performances. I don't have those results just yet, but I will bring those to you as quickly as I can. And do remember that not only have I got reports into the breakfast show, I'll be joining Ben each morning on the breakfast show with a little report of what's been happening in the previous evening, but also today at the Guild is our regular Monday to Friday programme here on Manx Radio, an hour of results, winning performances and news from the Guild every night here on Manx Radio between 9 and 10, and of course available afterwards as a podcast via manxradio.com to listen whenever it suits you. Now, we've just listened to the wonderfully skilled Juan Wright playing his trombone and winning the instrumental solo brass adult class. And it's an own choice class, and he played a piece with definite Baroque inspirations there, composed by Gareth Churcher. Second place was Ashley Cole. Ashley is playing his cornet. He is accompanied by his wife Naomi and has chosen Dvorak's beautiful piece to take a second place in this class. This is Ashley Cole playing Rusalka's Song to the Moon. Ashley Cole. That is such a beautiful melody, isn't it? Rusalka's Song to the Moon by Dvorak, and it was played there with great sensitivity by cornet player Ashley Cole, and his accompanist was his wife Naomi. And they're a great team, Ashley and Naomi, and as well as great supporters of their band and solo players. You can often see them in the pit at the Gaiety Theatre. They love to play as part of the orchestra for our shows there, and can regularly be seen, as can many of our instrumentalists, be down there forming the orchestra and playing with great skill and lots of enthusiasm, it has to be said, because it is pretty hard work if you're working all day, as so many of our musicians are, and then turning to and playing for the shows as well, and we really appreciate it. Now, that was the instrumental solo class for alto players, and so we've listened there to first and second place, first Juan Wright and second place Ashley Cole. Let's give you a few more results. Rusalka's Song to the Moon was also Thomas Shimon's choice, and he took a joint second place in the instrumental solo blast for younger players. This is for 16 to 18 year olds, and we had a win in this class for Liam Taverner, playing his B-flat cornet, and he won the class with Carnival of Venice, a traditional piece. And joint second place was shared by Thomas Shimon, again B-flat cornet, with, as I just said, Rusalka's Song to the Moon. And also in a second place in that class, Matthew Coates, and he chose a piece that's much loved of brass instrumentalists, and that's John Greenwood's The Acrobat. I remember William King some years ago, William King, who has often worked in our newsroom and now works on BBC Radio too. I remember William doing a performance of The Acrobat in a concert, and it's just absolutely wonderful. Great brass player, and he played very well, but he also did a lot of larking around, a bit like an acrobat, and he managed to make the whole thing work, sort of walking on a tightrope and playing at the same time. And I always think of William King whenever I hear that piece mentioned. But fine playing there from Liam Taverner, Thomas Shimon and Matthew Coates. A win for Liam and a joint second for Matthew and for Thomas. And again, great variety of music in that instrumental solo brass class. Own choice, so we got lots of different pieces ranging from everything from Dvorak to George Gershwin. You're listening to Today at the Guild. I'm Judith, bringing you some highlights from the first 2 days of the Manx Music Festival.
A nation station, Manx Radio.
And so, anything goes. That's the title of an open class that we enjoyed on stage in the Royal Hall last night. Now, there are very slender rules for this class. It's an own choice performance of music and or dance on any theme. The only rule is there's a time limit per performance of 6 minutes. And so we got such a variety of skilled entertainment. Phoenix Rising Ember Echoes gave us Like a Prayer. The Elder Sisters with Hello. Levi Rose Willits, who was on her own and claimed the stage for herself, with Burn. We had Manx Trinity Academy of Irish Dance and Celtic Illusion. The Creative Collective, Everyone's Got an Act, they said. And the Platform Theatre School, and Oh, What a Lovely War. It was fantastic entertainment and a great way to draw to a close at a very varied and very entertaining evening in the Royal Hall. Now, the winners of the class were the Manx Trinity Academy of Irish Dance, which of course means that there's very little that I can do on the radio now to bring you their superb performance. So well executed, great choreography, great skill in their dancing. But this is one where if you possibly can, take a look at our videos tomorrow, because when this class finished, and whilst everybody was getting packed up in the Royal Hall, we were able to make a little video of some of the members of the Manx Trinity Academy of Irish Dance and their two teachers, Kat and Amy, talking about just generally about the the Academy of Dance and what they've achieved and how they enjoy working together and what a family feel there is. And also I talked to two of their youngest members of the team and two absolutely adorable 6-year-olds. It's all on the video there. As I said before, we never, ever film any performances. That is completely against the Guild and the Villa's child protection rules. We never do that. But we do ask if a competitor would like to be filmed, and we record a little interview, or perhaps, as I say, if it's appropriate, a little reprise of their winning performance. Maybe they can sing a little bit of a song or do a poem or something like that, if that is appropriate. And those are the things that we put up on Manx Radio, manxradio.com. If you look at our video channel, you will find them all there. They're badged up so you can see straight away that they are little videos that we have made at the Guild. It's just another way of us bringing the Guild to you if you can't get there, or indeed, perhaps if you do get there, maybe just showing you something that you haven't had the opportunity to look at, because there's always two venues to choose between. Of course, you can move between the two once you get into the villa. But when we bring in the church, as we will again on Tuesday, there'll be 3 venues to choose from. So that's what we're here for. If you miss something, see if we have got it in our coverage. And we do our very best to bring you as big a cross-section. We can't bring you everything. I fully appreciate that. I wish we could. But we do our very best. And hopefully by the end of the week, we will have brought you probably in the order of about 120 winning performances. And let's see, every year I see if I can try and make them a few more. If I did less talking, I'd do better, wouldn't I? Right, so we had wonderful, wonderful skilled dancing from the Manx Trinity Academy of Irish Dance, who took a first place with Celtic Illusion in the Anything Goes open class. And congratulations to Kat and Amy and everybody involved in that. And like I say, look for the little video and hear them talking about why the youngsters absolutely love being part of that dance school. Second place went to the Platform Theatre School. Now, Leandra Lawler's Platform Theatre School give a great deal to the Guild in so many different classes, spoken word and music and mime, and that they really offer a complete spread of skills. And we look forward to seeing them and seeing what they bring to the Guild. They took part in this. The title of their piece was Oh, What a Lovely War. And talking to them afterwards, if you look for the video, you will see this. I asked Leandra, well, what was behind all of this? And she said, I talked to the young people and said, what do you want to do? Rather than somebody else choosing a piece and hoping that the girls would enjoy doing it, she said, what would you like to do? And they said, we want to do something about children and the effects of war, because something that they felt very strongly about, and they wanted to somehow depict their understanding of it and their feelings of injustice of it, and the whole situation of the futility of war. And that was the piece that Leandra then worked with them to put together. So it's a lot of input from the girls into this. And not just from Leandra Lawler, but also they had a very skilled choreographer working with them, I think for the first time, but I'm sure it will be the first of many times. And that was Owena Thomas. And again, in the interview, I have a chat with Owena about her work with the Platform Theatre School and her plans for the future. But right now, let me give you, this isn't the complete performance because there's a lot of movement involved in it, which worked brilliantly on the stage, but it doesn't work quite so well when you listen to the recording. It means that little bits are missing, and you might wonder, if you can't clearly hear the voices, you might wonder what's being said. It could cause a little bit of confusion. So I've brought you the highlights that I think will convey very clearly what the Platform Theatre School are saying in this, and their presentation that took them a second place in Anything Goes. And here they are, Platform Theatre School and Oh, What a Lovely War.
Breakfast home to bed.
country. This country is at war with Germany.
The air attack warning sounds like, this is the sound.
Soldier, keep on marching on. Head down till the work is done. Waiting on that morning sun. Soldier, keep on marching on. Head in the dust, feet in the fire.
Who will keep the peace without surrender.
British sovereign territory has been invaded.
Listen for that angel.
Our interests are in grave danger.
You got nowhere to run. Wanna take a drink of that promised land.
United States do not want war.
Gotta wipe the dirt off of your hands.
British forces to take part in military action in Iran.
Careful, son, you got dreamers.
This was their fighting power.
But it gets hard to stand.
My mother was martyred. My little sister keeps crying while I wash her clothes. We are hungry. Mayhem, 9 years old. I'm scared of the night. The nights are long. The sounds of bombs. This war is different. Elaf, 9 years old.
I have an injury to my back and ripped skin. My sister has a head injury. My mum has a hole in her leg. Viga, 9 years old.
We killed about 7 of them. They killed one of us. We had to drink their blood to conquer our fear. Only the scared ones had to do it. I was the most scared of all because I was the newest and the youngest. Child soldier, 12 years old.
We left everything behind and went to the mountain. We left our house. We found some trees to lie under. We had no clothes. We had nothing. Zidane, 12 years old.
My mother was killed in an airstrike. I don't know where my father is. I now look after my 7 siblings, the youngest being 6 months old. Mohammed, 14 years old.
He asked me how old I was. I said 16. It was extreme pain. It was burning like fire. I thought I was dying. Elian, 16 years old.
When adults wage war,
children perish.
Soldier, oh, it's a shame to take the pay. As soon as rebellion's done, we feel just as heavy as lead, but we'll never get up until Sergeant brings us breakfast up to bed. Oh, 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 it's a lovely war. What do you want with eggs and ham when you got plum and apple jam? Falls, right turn, how do we spend the money we earn? Oh, 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 it's a lovely war.
And I think that gives you a very strong flavour of the performance from the Platform Theatre School. Certainly one that made us all think, when adults go to war, it is children who suffer. And we thank them for that presentation. And a huge congratulations to Manx Trinity Academy of Irish Dance, winners of the Anything Goes Open class. And Leandra Lawler made an enigmatic remark to me when we were chatting. She said, we're upscaling. She said, we're doing something very different. And it will involve them travelling and representing the island further afield. We will find out more about that later in the week. I promised that I would catch up with her and get the full story on that one, what Platform Theatre School will be doing during the summer. Right, let's hear from a couple more very talented young brass players. And we've got a first and a second place here for Teddy Price and Tyler Hawley. Let's listen first to the class-winning performance from Teddy Price. Lovely bit of sensitive playing there from class winner Teddy Price on B-flat cornet, and he was playing Pam Wedgwood's Tequila Sunrise, and Teddy's accompanist was Julian Power. Now this is the instrumental solo class for 11 and 12-year-olds, so again it's great playing from youngsters. And second place, also accompanied by Julian Power, went to Tyler Hawley, and he's playing the baritone horn, and his choice is Rondo Olympia. This is Tyler Hawley. Tyler Hawley, accompanied by Julian Power. Great playing there, and that was Rondo Olympia. And congratulations to Teddy Price and Tyler Hawley, first and second placed in the instrumental solo brass instrumental class for 11 and 12-year-olds. Now, in a moment, we're going to hear another pair of first and second places from slightly older players, 14 and 15-year-old, and we're going to hear music from Ben Dawson and from Benjamin Wells. But ahead of that, there's a couple of people that I would like to mention by name. And first of all, Barbara Gale. Now, Barbara has given so much to the Guild. I remember when I first started doing the reporting, which is a year or two ago now, I remember that Barbara would be there for the whole of the Guild with her Gale Force school, taking part in so many spoken word and singing classes, and Barbara would be there to encourage them with her youngsters, some of the teenagers who are now competitors in their own right in the Guild. They'd be there to help her with the younger performers and make sure that everybody had the best Guild experience. And Barbara hasn't been competing for a while. Of course, Barbara herself, Cleveland had great Cleveland medal success, but Barbara hasn't been bringing anybody to the Guild for some years now, but we've always looked forward to seeing Barbara in the audience and being able to have a little chat. And Barbara, I'm sorry to hear that you're not very well and possibly won't be able to join us this year, but although you might possibly not be there in the audience this time, Barbara, you are certainly not forgotten, and we all send you our warmest good wishes, and I do hope that you will be back. But you've got plenty of time to get ready for next Guild, and your seat will be there and waiting for you, Barbara. But in the meantime, we send you our very best wishes, and I hope, Barbara, that you're able to listen to these reports with your programme in hand and follow everything that's going on. And somebody else that I would like to mention, and again, this is somebody that I'm hoping that I'll be able to record a little chat with at some point during the week, if she's not too busy, and that is the lovely Jill Collings. Now, Jill is such a talented musician, a brass player, a pianist, and a teacher and an inspiration to so many people. And Jill hasn't been very well, and she's missed a few years as an official accompanist. But she's back. She is back this year, and she is back as an official accompanist. And I saw her tonight, just about to go and play with the band. And I just thought we'd just reflect on Jill's own musical life, which is something that we kind of tend to jump over. But in the programme at the beginning, all the adjudicators and the accompanists have an opportunity to write a little bit about themselves. And this is what Jill says about herself. She says, "I've been playing the piano since I was 7 years old. My first piano teacher was Mavis Kelly. But in 1968, at 11 years old, I began education at the Buchan School. My new teacher," says Jill, "at the Buchan was Nora Moore, but due to her retirement, I then had lessons from Phyllis Christian." Jill says, "I'm lucky to have been inspired by these ladies to continue and develop my piano playing. Eventually, I received lessons from Mary Van Duke before leaving school, and many of us will remember Mary Van Duke as a fine organist." So Jill says, "In 1975 I was accepted at the Birmingham School of Music, now the Conservatoire, to study piano as my first instrument and brass as my second study." Jill is a fine cornet player. And she says, "During my time there I was privileged to be taught by Ruth Gerald, a truly inspiring pianist and teacher. At the University of Reading, Jill completed her teacher training and taught music in the northwest of England. She came back to the island in 1984 to teach at Murray's Road School and Victoria Road School. And I vividly remember many years ago going to record Jill's children at Victoria Road School. And I can't remember what the special occasion was, but there was one. And Jill had written a song for them. And there were lots of them. In fact, I think probably the whole school was involved. And I remember standing on a table to do the recording. I remember that vividly. I also remember it was a great song. And somewhere I've got a copy of it. I must dust that down. So, Jill, that's my memory of you at Victoria Road. And I think Jill writing songs and encouraging the children to sing was something that happened pretty much on a weekly basis there at Victoria Road. And again, they were very much involved in the guild at that time. Jill says, "I now teach piano and use my skills to accompany various soloists and choirs." And Jill says, "During my school years, I regularly competed in the Manx Music Festival's piano and organ classes, and more recently, the accompanied leader classes. I've been delighted to be on the team of official accompanists and privileged to play for amazing talent on our island." And we missed you, Jill. We missed you very much for the few years when you've been missing, but having to make your own health a priority. And it is just great to be able to welcome you back. Jill will be playing for our young singers tomorrow. Accompanying the youngsters is something that Jill has a particular skill for. And she says that it's my great pleasure to be the accompanist for Meadowside Choral Society, and she said, "I'm still blowing a cornet with brass bands." And Jill, we're delighted that you are. So hopefully be able to record a little video interview with Jill at some point in the week, as I say, if she's not too busy. Right, let's hear a bit more brass instrumental solo playing. Now, this is for players aged 14 and 15. So once again, we are still dipping into a store of young and very talented players. We're going to hear first from the class winner, Ben Dawson, playing a B-flat cornet. His accompanist, once again, is Julian Power. And he's got that beautiful melody for us, Misty, by Errol Garner. This is a class-winning performance from Ben Dawson. That was gorgeous, wasn't it? It's a beautiful tune, played with such feeling there by class winner Ben Dawson on B-flat cornet, accompanied by Julian Power. It was, of course, Misty, winner of the instrumental solo class, brass players aged 14 and 15. And second place went to Benjamin Wells. Benjamin's playing trombone, and again he's accompanied by Julian Power. As time goes by, as featured in Casablanca, it was a second place performance from trombonist Benjamin Wells, accompanied by Julian Power, and that was in the instrumental solo class for brass players aged 14 and 15. Congratulations to Ben Dawson and Benjamin Wells. Now, I want to play Manx Youth Band A and Douglas Band Tutors for you, and we're going to play the Douglas Band Tutors for you now. They took a second place just behind Manx Youth Band A in the ensemble class for up to 15-year-olds. They're conducted by Ken Mitchell, and this is Douglas Band Tutors and Stargazer by Alan Fernie. And thank you to Ken Mitchell, that conductor for the Douglas Band Tutors C Group. And it's great to hear these young people for whom this is probably their first opportunity to perform and get a feel for being in front of an audience, which is quite a daunting experience, but it's great that and these tutors, we've had Tiddly Tutors in Ramsey, haven't we, and other young bands that become the feeder bands then for the established adult bands, and it's great to see young players getting this opportunity to get a little bit of confidence in front of very supportive and very encouraging audiences. And I think that's something that it's worth paying tribute to the audiences who are all there to not to judge but to will everybody to do their best, and they really get behind all the performers. And that was very, very obvious when I was watching the Anything Goes class, that the adjudicator announced the results in reverse order. So she announced the Platform Theatre School in second place, and then she announced the class winners, and which was the Manx Trinity Academy of Irish Dance. And there's shout and cheers and clapping from the Platform Theatre School as the young dancers came up on the stage. It was just great to see. They were thrilled. It was just all the atmosphere, everybody having a good time together, and that is the spirit of the Guild. Let's finish off with another class-winning performance. Again, players up to 15 years of age, an own choice piece, brass quartet class this time. And this produced a win for Manx Youth Band Quartet A and Yellow Bird. Thank you for listening to our coverage of the 2025 Guild. Podcasts of all our reports are available shortly after broadcast at manxradio.com or via your usual podcast provider. And you can find video interviews with performers, teachers and other Guild celebrities also on the Manx Radio website and on our Facebook page too, with new ones added every day.
Manx Radio coverage of the Manx Music Festival is brought to you with Spectrum Windows. Find them on Facebook or spectrumwindows.im.